Everybody go.
Calling all the monsters, calling all the monsters, calling all the monsters. Hard times and you jump, coming down with goosebumps. You better go there, I'ma get you going, yeah.
The GoreCast is brought to you by American Horrors, the greatest uncut horror channel in the world. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all horror. As well as the station of decapitation Without Your Head.
America's longest running horror channel, www.withoutyourhead.com.
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of GoreCast Unplugged, the Tuesday edition. Today we will be debuting our new show, the remakes, or original versus remake that myself and Carter will be doing. We'll be going down the long list of horror originals versus their remake counterparts and kind of comparing the both and seeing which one's better and all that good stuff. So before we do that, how are you doing tonight, Carter?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
I'm doing good. Excited to delve down the original versus remake rabbit hole.
Rabbit hole? Oh, yeah.
There you go.
No. No, dude, I've been pretty stoked about it since you came up with the idea.
Yes, I will take all the credit. I'll definitely do that. Yeah, it's always one of those topics that I've always kind of always thought about. Like, I mean, when we kind of I think we kind of talked about it one time, like kind of thinking about like what deserves a remake, like when should remakes be done of certain movies and all that kind of stuff. And it's definitely a fun topic to kind of discuss.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So, but before we get into the two movies, we got a couple of news bits. The first news bit we have is a new movie that's going to be coming out starring Scout Taylor Compton of Rob Zombie Halloween fame. Will be coming out on August 4th to digital and on demand, and the title is called Starlight. And the plot involves a kind-hearted teenager, Dylan, which is played by Cameron Johnson, who crashes into a beautiful young woman, played by Taylor Compton, while skateboarding. She turns out to be a world-famous pop star who is on the run from her handlers. While he and his group of friends try to help her, unexplained events begin to occur within their home. When Bebe's threatening handler Anton shows up, demanding her return, the teenager's refusal make him unleash a barrage of dire and otherworldly consequences that turns a fun graduation party into a night of living hell.
Thank God that was going somewhere, dude. I'm like, oh, okay, so we're helping people.
Nothing like trailer or anything has been kind of put up, so don't really know what it all looks like. But like I said, it stars where did she go? And my phone decided to be
Taylor.
Scout Taylor. God damn it. I knew it was gonna happen. Where'd it go? I hit a button and then everything just all fucks up. So yeah, that's a movie that's gonna be coming out. Where did it go? There we go. Scout Taylor Compton. Also stars. Where did the starring go? Like I said, Cameron Johnson, and he was in Light as a Feather. Not sure if I've heard of that movie.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a TV show.
Okay, our TV show.
Yeah. I remember
Ray,
seeing the title.
okay. Ray Art Adams from Pacific Rim Uprising. Liana Ramirez from Power Rangers Beast Morphers. And Tiffany Sheepus from 12 Monkeys. Not sure if that's the movie or wasn't there a TV show?
Yeah, Sci-Fi did one.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not sure which version that person was in, but one of the 12 Monkeys. So, like I said, that should be hitting digital on August 4th.
Huh.
Trying to find my next story. The next story we have is another. What can you say? We have new images for New Mutants. That was the X-Men / horror movie that's been supposed to be coming out for the last 4 years now. It seems like.
See, I misunderstood. I thought that was going to come out as like a TV show or some shit.
Dude, there's been so much back and forth with this movie. It's not even funny.
Okay.
They had an original release date, and then it was put pushed back due to, and they had to refilm some stuff. Then I believe it got pushed back because some of the other 20th Century Fox movies got pushed back, so it was a casualty of that because it just decided to push a whole bunch of movies back. And I got caught up in that. Then it was pushed back because of the acquisition of 20th Century Fox by Disney. And then it was pushed back because of the See You Next Tuesday virus.
That's
that just happened because it was supposed to come out. The most recent release date was I don't remember the exact date, but it was supposed to be in April of this year. So it should have already been out by now.
I completely forgot about the buyout change in shit.
Yeah. So yeah, right here it says it was supposed, after a nearly 2-year delay, it was supposed to get a release on April 3rd before getting pulled because of the ongoing pandemic.
Dude,
yeah. We have a couple of new images though that were released through different social medias and stuff like that. So one of them is of a crazy demon bear, and looks, yeah. The image, if you see the image is absolutely like crazy. And then there's the smiley men, which is, I think they were kind of like hinted towards like via the trailers, but I don't think you actually saw them. But now with these images that got released, now they have actual visuals of the smiley men.
See, I just hope it comes out. It'd be nice. I kind of dug the fact that it was going to be darker.
Yeah, that's another thing is while I was kind of reading up on this, I think it was before I saw this story. There was something going around. I think I saw it on Facebook or somewhere I saw it on, where it actually said that it was actually thrown up on Amazon as a pre-order for, but then it was taken down. So it's like I don't know what's going on with this movie. Says right here, it says, as we wait for a new theatrical release or a surprise release on Disney Plus, Hulu, 20th Century Fox continues to tease the X-Men spinoff that introduces 5 young mutants who just discovered their abilities while held in a secret facility against their will.
See, I think with it kind of being a little bit darker and horror, I'd like to see it go up on Hulu instead of Disney Plus.
Would probably make a little bit more sense because of like Disney Plus's usual audience.
Right.
So,
and without fail, you're just gonna have some parent, a superhero? Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Exactly.
And then somebody's like back.
Ooh, the new X-Men movie's out. Let's watch that as a family. Oh my God, the Smiley Men and
right.
Bear and
and then of course the next thing is a petition of how dare you?
Yeah. Well, that was a lot of things because like once the merger happened, a lot of people were wondering if it was even going to come out at all. Same thing with like the fate of like movies like Deadpool and stuff like that are rated, kind of comic book type movies. And a whole bunch of them.
I worried about that for a second, but then, you like money, so when you look across the board and you see how much money Deadpool made, what's a few armed movies? Let it ride, fuck it,
Yeah, from what I heard, I think when the original merger happened, I think that they were still going to be on track to still make these movies. So as of now, I think they're still going to do them. So, but yeah, that's about it for the New Mutants. It's delayed yet again. It was put up for pre-order and then taken down within hours. But we got a couple of new images. So here's to more images and probably another 2-year wait before it actually finally comes out.
Dude, there are so many movies on back order because of that.
Yeah, which is why I think it would make more sense to go straight to a digital platform like a Hulu or Disney Plus or just a digital download in general. So, but that should do it for the news bits this week. So let's get into the main course of the episode, the original versus remakes. The Hills Have Eyes. The original movie came out in 1977 and was directed by Wes Craven, his second film directorial. I almost said directorial debut after I just said his second film, so it obviously didn't make sense. But his second film that he directed. First being Glass House on the Left, which we could also do another episode of original versus remake with that one too.
Oh, that's right.
So I know he kind of got the idea for the original Hills Have Eyes from the Sawney Bean story from the 16th century.
I haven't heard of that.
Oh no, it's about I don't know exactly what it did, but like it was about a pretty much. I think this is where Johnny, when we were talking before, where he was kind of getting the inbred part.
They're a
That was where
cannibalistic family that lived in the mountains of Scotland that were inbred and hunted people down off the roads and murdered them.
He's talking, but he was on mute, so I didn't hear what he said. Yeah, so the original story was about an inbred family in the hills of Scotland in the 16th century. They would like kidnap travelers and stuff like that, kill them, eat them. Did that for about I forgot how long. They did it for a long time. They killed over 1,000 people.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and there was tons of inbredness going on there where they had like 3 or 4 kids and like 16 grandkids and 20 some odd great grandkids, and yeah.
God, that sounds like fucking what was that, the Wrong Turn series?
Yes.
Tons of those fuckers.
They finally got caught when they attacked somebody who had some training, fought back. Nobody knew who was doing any of it, and then they attacked somebody. He fought back. He injured a couple of family members. They ran back to the hills, and the military got to him. And Sawney Bean was decapitated, I believe, and then the women and children had to watch all of that happening. It was the men were all castrated. That's what not decapitated, castrated. The men were all castrated and bled out. The women and children had to watch, and then after that, they were all burned alive.
Wow, so they just made sure that whole area got cleaned up then.
Yeah, they just did a huge whoosh. Everybody's gone. There's been a lot of debate on if it actually happened or not, but that's where Craven kind of got the inspiration for The Hills Have Eyes. Not to an extreme, but a little bit of inspiration.
But that definitely, that definitely explains the movie, because I mean, like, that's it in a nutshell. You know, these people have set up shop in the hills out in the middle of nowhere, and they pretty much just wait for dumbasses to take a wrong turn and get stuck out there.
Yeah. So the movie starts off, we have the Carter family who is on vacation to celebrate the patriarch of the family's 50th wedding anniversary, or some wedding anniversary. They're going from Ohio to Los Angeles. They stop through Nevada. They stop at this gas station. The gas station attendant seems kind of, before we see them, we see a little bit of interaction between the gas station attendant and one of the hill folk family, Ruby. She's kind of like she's hungry. They're wanting to like. I was asking, I forgot what the name of the gas station attendant is.
Fred.
Fred, yeah.
It kind of seemed like they had like a shop set up, like all the shit they found they used to kind of trade with him.
Yeah, that's what it's.
That's stuff they needed.
That's what it seemed like. Yeah, Fred kind of indicated that he was kind of thinking about making a run for it, and he was tired. He didn't want to help them anymore. Then we get the Carter family shows up. They stop at the gas station. They're lost the highway. They ask where the highway is at. Fred tells them, it's that way. Start heading that way. So now I don't know if I'd stop watching. I know that it was like what was a helicopter or not, like a jet or something flies overhead. I believe.
Yeah,
Like
because he was like,
distracts them.
"Hey, make sure you stick to the left." But they specifically asked, they're like, "Hey, aren't these mines out here?" And he was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
they're to the right, but they've been dead for years. Stick to the left so you can make it to Vegas." Dad decides he wants to hook right, and when he did, that's when the airplane sweeps over.
Yeah, because I remember watching it, and I'm like, I can't remember exactly what caused them to kind of like crash their car. Because I
Yeah.
remember what it did in the remake, but the original, I was just like, I kind of don't remember
No,
if they ran over something.
for some reason, he fixated on the mine, so he wanted to do that hard right. And then here comes like that low flying jet, and they were kind of afraid that they were maybe in like a bomb testing area. So they hit the gas. It's really no road out there. It's just all rocks, and you've got a shitty good road, and then everything else is just shitty. And so they wound up losing control because they were doing the station wagon with a
trailer behind.
Right, with a trailer behind and
camper.
And so when they lost control, they completely screwed up the station wagon, like broke the axle.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was. So after that happens, they kind of set up shop. Bob is the name of Big Bob Carter is the name of the father, and then there is Doug, which is Bob's daughter's husband. They both go off in opposite directions to try to find help. Bob ends up making it back to the gas station. When he gets there, he hears something. He goes into the gas station. He kind of hears and sees somebody come from a door. Opens the door. The gas station attendant is like hanging himself. He pulls him down, and then he kind of is like, "What are you doing?" And then he of the hill folk.
Specifically, the birth of the Grand Poobah.
Yeah, which is
Jupiter.
The names. Yeah, Papa Jupiter.
But we find out that Jupiter is his son.
Yeah. So while keep forgetting names. There's so Fred. Jesus. Like I have him right here, but like I don't know why I can't like remember him. While Fred is telling Bob the story, out of nowhere, Papa Jupiter pulls Fred out the window and pretty much kills him. Hits him with a tire iron, I believe. Him into,
like pegged him to the wall with it.
Yeah. So then Bob comes out. He's looking around, opens the door, sees Fred hanging in the. I think it was like a outhouse or something.
Yeah.
Wherever he hung him. So then Bob hears the voice of Papa Jupiter, kind of like "I'm coming to get you" kind of thing. He runs off. He starts running. Papa Jupiter catches up to him because Big Bob has a heart issue and kind of like passed out. They pretty much kidnap him. We go back to the trailer at one point because the family has two dogs with them. One of the dogs escapes and heads up the mountains. The youngest boy, is it Bobby? Yeah, Bobby chases after him. Finally finds the dog. The dog's gutted and everything. Someone almost pops out like they're going to attack Bobby. He kind of runs and then he trips, falls, knocks himself unconscious. A little bit of time goes on. Night falls, and the rest of the family's kind of sitting in the camper. The youngest daughter
freaked out.
Yeah, because from what he saw, the youngest daughter ended up finding Bobby. He kind of is making his way back to the camper, and he's all freaked out of everything. Doesn't really want to say anything because he doesn't want to freak everybody else out. So he's kind of all paranoid and everything. Doug ends up showing back up, saying, he's like, I gone all the way I can, and pretty much there's nothing there, but I found all these abandoned cars and all this stuff. Comes back. They go to bed, and then Bobby's still kind of flipping out. His dad's gutted and everything. That's where all shit goes down south.
really like, I understand him not wanting to freak everybody out, and it'd be one thing like, oh, if the dog fell off a cliff or a rattlesnake, the dog's fucking gutted. Like,
Yeah.
that's not like normal out in the middle of nowhere, dude. That's kind of like, hey guys, we all need to form a circle and figure out what the fuck's going on.
Yeah. He finally kind of breaks, and Doug and Lynn, his older sister, are in like the station wagon while everybody else is in the camper. He goes out there, they're getting it on, and he interrupts them getting it on and is like freaking out. While that happens, they hear screaming in the distance. Big Bob is attached to a tree, caught on fire, and is screaming. So everybody in the trailer all heads out that way except Brenda, which is the hit her to stay with the baby because they had the baby in the trailer, but also she's being held down by, I believe, Pluto, who is Michael.
That was the decoy. Like once everybody ran out to go see that, like
he ran in.
Snuck in.
Yeah.
And that's we get Michael Barium and
so
name.
Mars,
I think.
Mars. Yeah, Mars. Yeah. There's a lot of weird names in this movie.
Right. But they sneak in and start doing what they do best, which is going through shit, looking for anything that they can use. You know, of course, the daughter piques their interest in the baby, so that becomes a focal point.
Yeah, Mars pretty much tries to have his way with the daughter, while Pluto wants the baby to eat, pretty much. They finally put out Big Bob on the tree. He's dead. And then they kind of hear the screams of Brenda from the from the camper. So they head back. The mother, Ethel and Lynn, both head back. They get there first. They try to stop Mars. Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know what it is, but I'm all like flustered tonight. I don't know why. They go in there. Mars has a gun. He ends up shooting both Ethel and Lynn, killing both of them. Lynn's killed instantly. Ethel is still kind of alive, but is kind of close to death. Doug and Bobby end up running back, and then Mars and Pluto are trying to, get out and get away with the baby. And they also try to take Brenda, but Mars has a stab to his leg. I think it's Lynn. I think stabbed him in the leg. So he can't, he's trying to get away, but he can't. So he was going to shoot her, but then they were out of bullets. And they run off, and she's left alone. So they find out that the baby's kidnapped. And the next morning, Doug goes on a hunt for his baby.
I gotta say, dude, that sucked when Dee Wallace died. I was kind of hoping she'd stick around and be her usual Dee Wallace badass self.
Yeah, Dee Wallace is the one who plays Lynn. She, like I said, she was one of the first ones killed there. We noticed that one of the other dogs escapes. I don't think it was right after everything happens. It was accidentally let out.
I think it went after one of the sounds. Like it ran specifically towards the family and shit.
Yeah, so we see Pluto and Mars end up making it back to their lair with Mama and Papa Jupiter and Ruby. There's also another one, which is Mercury.
That's right. The dog
kind of
popped him off the cliff.
Yeah, he was the lookout, and they were getting ready to call him back because they pretty much got everything that they wanted. And they told Mercury that, there's no need for you out there anymore, to head back. But he ends up getting knocked off by the dog. Papa Jupiter thinks that Mars and Pluto killed everybody, but he ended up not killing everybody. He only ended up killing 2 people. After the dog kills Mercury, he takes his walkie-talkie because the family is all communicating via walkie-talkies. That's how they're able to set everybody up and stuff. The dog ends up bringing.
I had to say the dogs were more on point than the people in this one.
Oh yeah, definitely. The dog ends up bringing back the walkie-talkie back to Doug and Bobby and Brenda, and they can hear them talking about eating the baby pretty much. So like I said, that's when Doug decides the next morning he's going to go find the baby. He takes the dog with him to pretty much kind of use as a badass dog like the dog is. So pretty much after that, Doug ends up finding out where the family is. Papa Jupiter and Pluto end up going back to the trailer, the RV, to finish off the job. The dog ends up attacking Pluto, and Papa Jupiter goes over the walkie and tells Mars to kill the baby. Doug hears this. He tries to get the dog to attack the family. When Mars goes to kill the baby, he thinks he has the baby, but Ruby switches the baby out with a pig, and she takes the baby and runs up to the hills to get away from him. Doug sees this. He chases her down, gets the baby back, and then has to battle Mars. We have the other two, Papa Jupiter. Pluto is killed by the dog. The dog pretty much wipes out almost the whole family.
Right.
Pluto gets killed by the dog, and then I don't think he gets Papa Jupiter. Papa Jupiter ends up getting killed by Brenda and Bobby.
They trick him into an RV explosion.
Yeah.
And then it just abruptly ends.
Yeah, pretty much, because Doug ends up getting the baby back, and then ends up giving it back to Ruby. Ruby hides the baby while Mars and Doug kind of fight. Doug's able to get the upper hand. He kills Mars, and then while he's killing him, the screen just goes to red. And that's pretty much the end of the movie.
Which was just weird because, we saw Mama, so she's up in the cave. Obviously, Ruby wants a different life because she's not trying to kill anybody. But it was just such a weird, abrupt stop for the movie.
Yeah, when I heard it, a lot of people kind of had an issue with that. I mean, it is kind of doesn't really necessarily have much of a resolution.
I mean, granted, we've got 3 of the family members that survive. Most of the people of the bad guys are dead. And you see all the time a movie where, you've got the survivor in the middle of the ocean in a boat. So you never necessarily see the rescue or anything. It was just all of that action, all of that drama. And then okay, cool, done, fuck it. And it was credit time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of weird. But I want to get more into my thoughts when we kind of go do the comparison. Right. I mean, like I said, I liked it, but I'll just say this kind of real quick is I like the remake better, but it's still a good movie, especially an early Craven film.
Right.
I think this one, I'm getting more into the comparison when I shouldn't be. Let's just cut to the trailer so we can.
They wanted to see something different, but something different saw them first. The hills have eyes.
Mister, don't take your family back in that area. The silver has been gone for 40 years now. Besides, there's nothing back in there but animals.
We're lost. The old creep told you not to get off the road.
What began as a vacation ended as a nightmare.
You hell to pay now.
What the hell was that?
She thought she knew what the world was all about. But nothing prepared her for this. The hills have eyes.
Oh, you going with my baby?
Get out of the way, bitch.
A mother fighting for her child loses it in the worst possible way.
I hit him with a tire iron and I split his face wide open. That was a bad mistake. I come back for you later, girlie. Why are you doing this?
The story of an American family who lost everything except the will to survive. Murdered, raped, burned, but not beaten. The hills have eyes. The story of one family's refusal to die.
I'm gonna get those animals.
The hills have eyes. A night of terror. A day of vengeance where no one was spared. No one.
Kill the babe! Kill me!
They fought back. Anything was a weapon. The family dog to the family car.
It's working!
The hills have eyes. The most shocking, terrifying film you will ever see by Wes Craven, writer and director of The Last House on the Left. The hills have eyes. The lucky ones died first.
Oh, okay.
I guess they just got buried. And that was the trailer for the original Hills Have Eyes, the 1977 classic from Wes Craven.
So now we're going to cover the remake, which was what,
Yes.
2006?
Correct. This is kind of like the early renaissance of horror remakes, at least the early 2000s. This is kind of off the back of Texas Chainsaw and Amityville. So this is kind of one of the early horror remakes of that generation.
And you got it pulled up in front of you because I cannot pronounce this director's name.
Directed by, that's distributed by, yeah, give me 1 second. Alexandra Aja.
Aja, okay. I knew I was going to screw that up, so I was just like,
Yes, Alexandra Aja. At least that's what I think. I remember seeing this one in the theaters. So, came out in 2006. So it follows the original movie to a degree, but
I don't know, man. I almost kind of felt like, granted, the Hill people are different, but it seemed like as far as the family when it played out a lot of the same.
Yeah. It's set up very similar. The family's out on a road trip. They stop at a gas station. The gas station attendant is kind of, helping the hill folk, the mutants in this aspect. The difference here is they're not on the highway. They're trying to find the highway. The difference here is when they're driving, some road spikes come out. And they run over the road spikes and get a flat tire, and that's how they crash their car.
And I think this time they changed it. Like Dad was adamant about like shaving off as much time as possible.
Yeah, so he wanted.
And so he purposely, because I think even the gas station attendant was like, "Dude, don't do it."
Yeah.
Oh, screw that. Let's go. So
he wanted to get a shortcut.
Right. I kind of, man, like I dug the first movie, but I really dug the cast in this one. Dude, who is it? Ted Levine from like Silence of the Lambs and Monk.
Yeah, he was Bob Carter, Big Bob Carter.
There was just a lot of cool people in this one.
Yeah. So we got kind of the similar story. Doug and Bob both had their own separate ways. Bob finds his way back to the gas station. A little bit different here is once Bob gets in the gas station, he can't find the attendant. He goes to the back. He sees all these like newspaper clippings on the wall of, hikers missing, tourists missing, and then you see stuff about atomic bomb blasts and radiation and people being affected by that. And then he hears something outside, goes outside, and the gas station attendant is kind of sitting, I think he's like in an outhouse.
Yeah.
He ends up shooting himself, like I said. So that's a little bit of a difference here is the gas station. Plus, also, the gas station attendant, I don't think, has any relation to the families, the cannibals in this one.
So, you know, like,
if it is, it's not really.
It's not blood, but he was still doing the same thing. Like, he knew about it.
Yeah. I meant like actual blood related family.
Oh, right.
It's like in the original, like they weren't a big part of the thing. Like he was the father of Papa Jupiter in the original.
Right.
Here, he's just a guy that helped him out. So he did have association, but not a family association.
Now,
so
for me, here was like the biggest change of the two. You know, you had just a bunch of hill folk up in the first one. This one was a small town.
Yeah.
In an area where the military wanted to do bomb testing. Majority of the folk were like, "Oh shit," and they moved. But you had one family that was like, "No, we've been here for this long. We're going to stay here," and lived through all of that bomb testing and the radiation and the fallout. So the biggest change for the remake is we go like full on mutants, inbred mutants, like all sorts of just kind of, you know, the one big head guy in a wheelchair, the big muscular guy, like they went out full mutant.
Big Brain, I think is his name. Trying to go through the names and Big Brain. Which is like why I like that aspect a little bit more than just having just crazy hill folk.
I will say, like, this one was definitely not, I don't want to say believable, but a little bit believable in the scope of it when you look at the two. You know, just random folks sitting out in the middle of nowhere, this hardcore family that did not want to leave, wouldn't leave, and they just found a new way to live in this dude's kind of twisted way.
I have a feeling when kind of going over the remake, it's going to kind of bleed into kind of our, you know, arguments with like which one's better and stuff like that, because it's like we kind of just talked about the original, so a lot of the stuff is very similar, plot wise and stuff like that. So like I have a feeling we're going to get kind of from now on, it's going to kind of mixture of like review / you know, differences. So yeah, we'll probably go ahead and do it that way.
I will say that, like, you know, because you were like, hey, I really dug the second one better. When you look at like the special effects and the makeup and all that, and just the sheer action, because there's a lot more action in this one.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot more people on the hill folk side.
Yeah.
So even if you're not hunting somebody down, you're still getting a more of an insight of how they live and what they do when they're not chasing folk down.
Yeah.
So I can see this one. I can see why people will like this one more, because it's a lot more active, even when they're not killing somebody.
Yeah, it's just a little bit more fleshed out, in my opinion. Which it's not to knock the original. No. Like I said, not at all. Like I told you guys before, like I'll make a confession that like this is the first time I actually watched all of the original. I know more about the remake than the original, so like not knocking the original whatsoever. I just feel that the remake is just, like I said, it's a little bit more fleshed out. It modernizes it a little bit more, maybe, obviously, because that's why you do remakes.
Well, and they gave so much more in depth to the family. Like that one point where the camera pulls back, and it's just a crater of cars. I mean, like car on car. Like they've been doing this shit for a long fucking time, and you get the idea of that. Like you said in the first one, it's not so fleshed out, so you get an idea because like Ruby dropped a purse and there's a bunch of like watches and stuff. Like you get an idea that, you know, we've done this at least a few times, but the second one, or the remake, like you said, it gives a lot more backstory without really even having to sit down and tell the audience. Just a few scenes here and there fill out so much more of the family.
and I think I had this discussion with you guys when we kind of were talking about doing this series. Is my opinion on remakes is I'm not very big on like companies remaking already big budget, not big budget, but like horror movie or just not horror movies, just movies in general that had like that did very well. Like so in horror example, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. They don't need to remake those movies. Hills Have Eyes did well, but I don't think it was like obviously to those movie standards. But my personal opinion is I think the reason why I like the Hills Have Eyes remakes compared to a lot of other remakes of the ones I just mentioned is they took the story and, like I said, they fleshed it out, but they also made it different.
Yeah.
To a point where it's like I'm not watching the same movie again. Pretty much, it's not a like cut, copy, paste same movie like some of the other remakes have been.
Well, and I mean, like you look at the original one, you could definitely see it as more of like where they were building drama and tension. They used a lot of camera angles and walking the camera up where you could hear footsteps and like peering over the shoulder of somebody. I mean, for its time period, it was a good piece. Hell, it pulled in like 25 million at the box office in '77. But then, like you said, they sat down, they make a better film, and this one budget was 15 million. It pulled in 70 million.
Yeah, which I mean isn't like holy crap we made. I mean they made money, but like it seemed like this one served a purpose.
Yeah. Now because both films have remake or sequels, I can't say I was really on board for the sequel as much because I just kind of felt like it was the same thing.
Yeah.
It was just hill folk killing people, but the first one I really dug.
Yeah.
Between, just a little bit more action, a lot more story, the effects, everything was really cool. The first one was good for its timepiece. Definitely not as gory by any means.
Yeah.
But I would have to kind of go that
Last House on the Left was a fairly not like a super gory movie, but at its time was a pretty disturbing movie. So you would think Wes Craven would, kind of brought that style to
right. But if you think about it in the original, I think the goriest I remember things really getting was the gas station guy being hung up by the crowbar, hung up on the wall. Everything after that was like, gunshots, a body already on the ground with blood all over him, stuff like that. It never really got anything past like off-camera stabbings and punching.
Yeah. So, okay. Hey guys, we are back. Apology. Okay. Sorry, guys. I guess we were having a little bit of lag with the trailer and stuff like that. So we're just going to come back and we're trying some new stuff now. We're trying to kind of multi-stream in different areas. So we're kind of working the bugs out here. So our apologies. But that was somewhat of the trailer of the 2013 or 2006 Hills Have Eyes remake. Going to kind of give our final thoughts here, and then we'll probably head out. I kind of did like about the original is it kind of like we saw a little bit more of the family in the original.
Yeah.
The remake kind of made them more of a mystique thing, which was nice for that movie. But I think seeing a little bit more of the family like dynamic in the original would work really well too.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, that's a trade out. We saw less of one family, more of the other, and then vice versa with.
And one thing I want to say is the brother in the original, Bobby. He was a fucking dick in the original.
Yeah.
In the
Oh,
remake,
yeah.
he was a little bit more compassionate. It's like your sister just got raped, one sister got murdered, your mother got murdered, and the baby's stolen. Your dad's dead, and like the Brenda was kind of crying. He's like, "Would you shut up?" It's like, dude, chill out a little bit there. Just
I guess, like
constantly
they say, we
yelling and
all
screaming
feel
at her.
differently.
He was
Yeah.
an outright son of a bitch.
I will say
That's-
I'm not a big fan of remakes, but in this situation, I actually dug the remake more than I did the original.
Yeah, they made Doug to be more of a badass in the remake as well. At the end,
Yeah,
gets his ass kicked, but he's like, "Fuck this shit." Gets his fingers cut off. He's like, I'm not having it. You give me back my baby, or I'm gonna kill all of you," which he pretty much does.
I think that like they raised that whole storyline in the film. I think they really raised it up in the remake.
Yeah. So, but I think that should be our final thoughts on this episode. Maybe been a bumpy one, but like we said, we're working on it. Any closing thoughts, Carter, before we head out?
No. I'm looking forward to doing our next one.
I believe we're going to be doing The Fog, I think is what we mentioned.
John Carpenter.
Yes. This Thursday, we are looking to do Stuart Gordon, the works of the late Stuart Gordon. We're going to look at a couple of his bigger movies and kind of discuss the gentleman himself. This Sunday over on American Horrors, we have a brand new episode of the GoreCast at 8:30 p.m. CST and whatever that equates to is GMT, when Johnny Deadly and the Giz talk about why the fuck people do not like 2019 Hellboy. So that should be an interesting episode. I will be watching it, but I might not have much of an opinion because I haven't seen any of the Hellboys. So I don't know. I don't know what everybody's issue is. So, but until then, this is Buzz and Carter. We will see you guys next time, and cut to the trailer.
Fire forged by innocent blood. I summon you forth, the spawn of Lucifer, the red right hand of doom, the seed of destruction, Amun-Ra! Oxygraph! Here. On a gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man with a long neck.
Cold and his red right hand.
Bump. What's going on?
For frack's sake, I was trying to summon Hellboy, the seed of destruction, not a seed of destruction.
Which Hellboy?
David Arbor, of course, he's more fun.
Oh yeah, that makes sense, I suppose. Actually, that raises an interesting question. Join myself and the kids this Sunday, 8:30 p.m. CST, and whatever that equates to is GMT, is only on American Horrors, where we're going to be discussing what the f*** is everybody's problem with the new Hellboy in a brand new episode.